Tensions between the United States and China have escalated dramatically, reaching a boiling point that has left the global community on edge. Beijing's recent announcement of an 84% tariff on U.S. goods has sent shockwaves through the international trade landscape. This represents a substantial increase from the previous 34% levy, a move that many analysts did not anticipate. The move sent shockwaves through global markets as economists and businesses alike grappled with the implications of this aggressive action. Stock markets around the world reacted swiftly, with significant drops in major indices. The Chinese Finance Ministry cited unfair trade practices by the United States as justification for the tariff increase, pointing to a series of grievances that have accumulated over the years. This development marks a new low in the ongoing trade war between the world's two largest economies, a conflict that has seen numerous rounds of tit-for-tat tariffs and retaliations. The tariffs are expected to primarily target American exports such as soybeans, automobiles, and technology products. These sectors have been heavily reliant on the Chinese market for their growth and sustainability. American farmers, particularly those growing soybeans, are bracing for a tough season ahead. The automobile industry, already facing challenges, could see further declines in sales. Tech companies, which have significant supply chains and customer bases in China, are also expected to feel the pinch. The ripple effects of this tariff hike could be far-reaching, affecting not just the targeted industries but the broader economy as well. Businesses are now scrambling to reassess their strategies and mitigate the impact of these new tariffs. The coming months will be crucial in determining how both nations navigate this heightened phase of their trade conflict. American companies operating in sectors targeted by the tariffs are bracing for a significant hit to their bottom lines. The tariffs, which have been imposed as part of an ongoing trade war, are expected to affect a wide range of industries from agriculture to technology. Business leaders are expressing growing concerns about the long-term implications of these trade barriers. The increased costs associated with exporting goods to China will likely force many businesses to raise prices. This is particularly challenging for small and medium-sized enterprises that operate on thin margins. For some, the additional costs may be too much to bear, leading to potential closures or downsizing. The ripple effect of these price hikes will be felt across the supply chain, affecting suppliers, distributors, and ultimately consumers. This will undoubtedly impact American consumers, who may face higher prices for a wide range of products. Everyday items such as electronics, clothing, and even groceries could see price increases. Families on tight budgets will be hit the hardest, as they struggle to make ends meet. The increased cost of living could lead to reduced consumer spending, which in turn could slow down economic growth. The tariffs create uncertainty for American businesses, making it difficult to plan for the future. Companies are finding it challenging to forecast their financial performance and make strategic decisions. This uncertainty can lead to reduced investments in new projects, research and development, and expansion plans. The overall business climate becomes more cautious, with companies adopting a wait-and-see approach. Many companies may be forced to reconsider their investments in China, potentially leading to job losses in both countries. The interconnected nature of global supply chains means that disruptions in one part of the world can have significant repercussions elsewhere. American workers may find themselves out of work as companies shift production to other countries or bring it back home, where costs may be higher. The situation highlights the delicate balance of global trade and the far-reaching consequences of protectionist policies. As nations impose tariffs and other trade barriers, the global economy becomes more fragmented. This can lead to reduced international cooperation and increased tensions between countries. The long-term impact of these policies remains to be seen, but it is clear that the current trade environment is challenging for businesses and consumers alike. In a swift response to China's tariff hike, the Trump administration has indicated its intention to file a complaint with the World Trade Organization. The U.S. government argues that China's actions violate international trade rules and unfairly disadvantage American businesses. The WTO will now be tasked with reviewing the legality of China's tariffs. This process could take several months or even years to resolve. In the meantime, the tariffs remain in effect, creating a climate of uncertainty for businesses and investors worldwide. Section 4. Ripple effects across the globe. The interconnected nature of today's global economy means that events in one part of the world can have far-reaching consequences elsewhere. The escalating trade war between the US and China has sent ripples through the global economy. Stock markets around the world have experienced significant volatility, with investors reacting to every new development in the trade negotiations. Other countries are feeling the pressure as supply chains are disrupted and businesses face uncertainty. Companies that rely on components from either the US or China are scrambling to find alternative suppliers, often at higher costs. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, has warned that the trade war could lead to slower global growth and increased economic instability. In their latest report, they highlighted the potential for reduced investment and lower consumer confidence, which could further dampen economic activity. Emerging markets, in particular, are vulnerable to the negative consequences of a protracted trade war. These economies often depend heavily on exports to the US and China, and any slowdown in these major markets can have a cascading effect. Many of these countries rely heavily on exports to the US and China, and a slowdown in economic activity in these markets could have a devastating impact. Factories may be forced to cut back on production, leading to job losses and reduced incomes for workers. This in turn can lead to lower consumer spending and further economic decline. Global leaders are now faced with the challenge of navigating these turbulent times. Trade ministers and economic advisors are working tirelessly to find solutions that can mitigate the negative impacts and restore stability to the global economy. The hope is that through diplomatic efforts and strategic economic policies, the ripple effects of the trade war can be contained and eventually reversed. Section 5. Intertwined economies, shared consequences. The trade war highlights the interconnected nature of the US and Chinese economies. China is a major market for American exports, while the US relies heavily on Chinese imports for a wide range of goods. This interdependence means that both countries stand to lose from a prolonged trade conflict. The tariffs imposed by both countries are already having a noticeable impact on their respective manufacturing sectors. American companies are facing higher costs for imported components, while Chinese manufacturers are struggling to find alternative markets for their products. Section 6. Retaliation on the horizon. China has indicated that it is prepared to take further retaliatory measures if the US does not back down from its aggressive trade policies. These measures could include targeting specific sectors of the American economy, such as agriculture, which is already reeling from the impact of existing tariffs. The potential for further escalation is a major concern for businesses and policymakers alike. A full-blown trade war between the US and China would have devastating consequences for both countries and the global economy as a whole. Section 7. A world on edge. The escalating trade war between the US and China has created a climate of uncertainty and anxiety around the world. Businesses are delaying investments, consumers are holding back on spending, and policymakers are struggling to find a path forward. The situation highlights the fragility of the global trading system and the importance of international cooperation. Finding a peaceful resolution to this trade dispute is essential to ensuring continued economic growth and stability worldwide.